So I think we're live already.
Yay!
So I'll just. Oh my god, this is so cool, and it's not like we really rehearsed this. We're just gonna start and get into it and just talk naturally because we're both, just two voice actors from Africa in Nigeria, actually, wanting to share our experience. Ensure that we are able to talk about voiceover and make sure this is a weekly thing like we've been doing before, as podcast has been happening, right? But this is like next level of the Everything Voiceovers podcast. So, having said this little stuff, it's time to get into the proper introduction. I wish I could get some drum rolls right now.
Let's make it a note for the team. In post.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get it. Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited, and I'm guessing that this part of me is not so spread into the podcast yet. So I am happy because I'll be able to express this side of me. But anyway, let's just get into the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the episode 9 of season 3 of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, The African Perspective. I go by the name T-Code, a voiceover artist from Africa. And this is actually where I would say I am a host for this podcast. But no, it's not me being the host. I have got a co-host. So this is the part where I introduce my co-host, the fabulous, the enchanting. I think I'll do a bad job at doing your hype man right now.
And I was getting on my
so
pose.
sorry. I am like, okay, can I just try a little bit more? The fabulous,
Fire
the
away.
beautiful,
Okay.
the enchanting, the delectable, the mesmerizing. So sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. I owe you one.
SMH.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about no other person than I know, right? I know one of Nigeria's finest and like fast rising, professional, intelligent. I think this is more natural than just using words that I don't really care about. She is good at what she does. She's a great voice actor, and she's my friend. Like, it's such a privilege to have her as my friend. I'm talking about Serah Johnson.
Stop, I'm shy.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's so exciting to
Hi.
be here. It's so exciting to be here. I mean, talking, whenever I and T-Code get into talking and we just start talking about voiceover stuff, stuff about being friends, just life stuff. We're always just talking. We just keep going on and on and on. And he hits me up, he's like, you know what? Why don't you come be on my podcast? And I'm like, wow, okay, I never thought of that. But that sounds exciting. So I'm super excited to be here. And it's going to be a fun ride.
Definitely, Sarah.
Yeah,
I'm excited to have you on the podcast.
No, carry on, fire
Go
away.
on, don't worry. We're getting used to this, because there's never a time when we've been both co-hosts on any podcast before.
Actually,
so we're gonna
and we never even talk about our radio backgrounds.
Ooh, yeah. Like, we have a lot in common. Speaking of which, radio is one of those, right? We've worked on radio for a couple of years. So I think we should do just a little backstory for people who, of course, I've had you on the podcast before. So yeah. So anyways, if you want to know much about Sarah, go check episode 2, I think, 2 or 3 of this season of the podcast, where Sarah gave us a backstory. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, Sarah. I'm sure that the listeners, they're so excited to have you here. And I'm not sure I have done justice to introducing you just yet, because I haven't mentioned that you are the voice, the character voice for Iyanu. Yeah. And that's a good thing. It's not something we can just gloss over, right? That's potentially going to be one of the biggest animations from Africa in the next few months, because Iyanu is set to hit the screens next year, and gracefully enough, I'm also part of the character cast for the animation. I am not Iyanu, of course. Serah is Iyanu. I play
you play such a fun character.
But we're not here to talk about
Iyanu.
Fun character. You know, right? Yeah.
Shiju is so fun.
I really look
I
forward
always
to
look
it.
forward to Teju and Shiju's parts in the script.
You know, right? Yeah, so I really look forward to Iyanu. We cannot spill much now. Of course, that's not what we intend to do. But we're just like letting you guys in on what's up. And speaking of what's been happening, what have you been up to in the past couple of months, Serah? We wouldn't know so much because for the past few months, we've not been sharing too much on social media until I started to do that some weeks ago, and I'm trying to stay consistent at that. But for you, like, what's been going on in the past few months? Let's start with like January to now.
From January.
Happening.
Oh, that's a lot. From
Just do
January.
like highlights.
Okay, highlights. Okay,
Yeah.
so I launched my recording studio here in Abuja, Talk Studios. It's a recording studio for voiceover artists. Yeah, majorly for voiceover artists, because I realized in Abuja we don't have any space curated for, storytelling. So it's like the sanctuary for storytellers. Come tell your story. Podcasts, voiceover, audiobook narration, and then I have like a team of really great sound engineers that put in their expertise and make sure you get clean, well edited, well mixed and mastered audio, that sort of thing. Yeah, and sound design and all of that. Yeah, it's my dream. In future for Talk Studios to be behind sound design and recording for major cartoons and films and all that stuff. But we're starting small. So that was February. I launched that in February, actually. January,
Awesome.
I moved into the place and then started renovations and everything. And then after that, I was back to work, recording Iyanu, recording an audiobook, and what else was I up to? Just a lot of work. Then I started creating content again for Instagram, but along the line, I'm more of a let's get the real work done. Let's get the work here done.
Yeah.
So sometimes it affects my social media presence. So I promise you, sometimes when you don't see me for months, I'm probably just in my studio recording an audiobook or mixing a project or just working on something, because I like the work too much and sometimes I get carried away.
Wow.
So then what else? I taught sound engineering this year at the Naseni Institute for Engineering, the National Agency for Science and Engineering. So I spent 2 months teaching their staff, some of their staff, how to basically sound engineering, how to edit, how to mix, how to master, and how to record podcasts, voiceovers, or anything really. So that took 2 months, and just my regular side projects and life stuff, really fun life stuff. But that's pretty much what's been on.
Wow. There's a lot of things that you said. First of all, congratulations again on launching Talk Studios. It's an amazing thing for you to have done. Not just the fact that you're doing it for yourself, but you did it to be able to accommodate the creatives in Abuja that would love to have a sanctuary for storytelling. And I think that's a very genius thing. It's also a very generous thing to do. I can testify to how Talk Studios have been serving the audio community in Abuja. Even when I was in Abuja, I was privileged to use Talk Studios, the service there, and it was phenomenal. Also, not just the fact that Talk Studios is the facility, but it's Serah Johnson managing the facility. You are an audio producer, and I guess a lot of people don't know how good of an audio producer you are. Even I I had sensed it. I had an idea of it, but when I came over and I saw you do your stuff, I'm like, no way. No, I need to come and learn a couple of, production from you. Speaking of which of the softwares do you use? Just for a bit of context.
Oh yeah, so
DAW.
I'm pretty. Yeah. I'm pretty versatile with my digital audio workstations, but my favorite is Logic Pro X. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There is no contesting.
I feel a bit intimidated right now.
I can flirt with Adobe and and Audacity and all those other guys, but the love of my life will always be Logic Pro X.
Logic Pro. And when I've been there, I've seen you work on it, and it's just the fluidity for me. And she knows her stuff. She does know her stuff. So shout out to you, Serah. I genuinely need to come and learn a couple of stuff from you. I am not joking, and I'm going to push you on to do that for us. and yeah, I think some of the time we're going to have to talk about how much of an advantage it is for voiceover artists to understand production so well. At this age where people most likely would do better. People are definitely going to do better with owning their own home studio, and production is a huge part of that to succeed. But then we'll pen that conversation for some other time. Speaking of training people, which you did this year, I remember that, and that was just shortly after I left Abuja. You started that because I was in Abuja twice this year. So I want to talk about our engagement in Abuja, because when I was in Abuja, first off, your studio, Talk Studio, was where I would come to do my recordings. I usually every now and then have recordings to do every week, 3 times at least in a week, and I'll have to come down to Talk Studio, and you did well by me. So I want to talk about our engagements in Abuja, which I don't think I've really spoken about in the podcast, because I have a lot of gist for people, especially people who listen to the podcast. I have a lot of gist for you dear listeners. We had the first voiceover hangout in Abuja, and that was fabulous. And it was because,
oh my God, how could I even forget to mention that?
How did that even? Yeah. Tell us about it. Tell us about it, Serah.
We've had really fun hangouts. So, building the studio wasn't just about, just profit. Like I said, I don't know if I said it. Initially, I created the studio for just myself. But then I realized it was such a problem in Abuja finding a space to record voiceover and, basically storytelling stuff. And I was like, you know what? Why not open it to the public for use as well, and charge a stipend, to be honest, to just have people come in. And also, I'm really passionate about community. I'm really passionate about community and building a voiceover community, because I realize that so many voiceover artists are in the same place. They don't know each other, and this reduces the amount of opportunities that we're exposed to because you're just working in a bubble. For example, before the psalmist David left, I didn't even know he was in Abuja, and we were interacting with each other on Instagram. I would comment on his posts, he'd comment on mine. And then when you even brought him over to the studio, I didn't even realize he was the one. Because, there's just a difference when you don't expect to see somebody you've been seeing online in person. You don't put it together immediately. So it was when he was like, I commented, and I'm like, no, stop. You commented on my story, just yesterday. And I'm like, no, you're David. And it was such... And I'm like, no, you're David. And it was like, me, I recognized you immediately. So... Yeah, and I think it's very important for voiceover artists to get to know each other, work together, and so I just thought of the voiceover hangouts, and of course you were around. So I was like, it wasn't something I wanted to do alone. It wasn't something I was sure I'd be able to handle alone. And thankfully you were around, and you were just like, you know what, let's run it. So I guess it was just perfect. It was just fate, and we just kept throwing these amazing hangouts that the first one was such a banger, everybody came, everybody was just so full of energy, so excited to meet each other. We played voiceover centric games.
Right?
And it felt like, we were involved in each other's careers because we're able to talk, advise each other, let each other know what's going on in the industry, talk about industry trends and all that stuff. Unfortunately for the second one, rain wanted to, it rained on our parade, but still, everybody still sent messages. See, crazy story, we wanted an outdoor thing for the second one, so it doesn't start to feel monotonous. We planned and looked at the weather forecast.
Also, we're trying
Yes. We knew there would be more people. We wanted an outdoor location that would contain a lot of people. And a lot of people did come, but then, exactly. So we had planned that, okay, we'd look at the weather forecast. It says it's going to rain on Saturday. No, sorry, it says it's going to rain on Sunday. So we planned the picnic for a Saturday, only for the rain to meet us outside on Saturday. And on Sunday, it was clear skies. Like, it still shocks me till today. Like, the day we had avoided because of rain now turned out to be a clear sky day. But still, I got so many messages. People that came for the first one, people that came for the second one, and it was their first time being out like that. I had people sending me messages that this was the most fun thing they'd done in months, and it just felt good to connect with people that were doing what they're passionate about. We had aspiring voiceover artists as well, and it just felt so good. And which reminds me, it's about time for another one.
I agree,
energy,
right? And I will come to Abuja if we're going to do it again. And that also gives us the opportunity to create a community. We do have a WhatsApp group, right? And even though we struggle to keep it alive a couple of times, but I am sure that it's so valuable. And we share stuff. We actually do share stuff. So thank you, Serah, for making that possible. I was happy to join, and the second version, it was more like a talk studio collaborating with Voiceverse. For context, Voiceverse is an organization that I started so that we can always document the voiceover happenings in Nigeria and also by extension in Africa and even some part of the world too. Anyway, so it's exciting to see that happened this year, twice this year, and we look forward to the next. So speaking of what has been happening, there's been a lot of collaborations, there's been a lot of auditioning, there's been a lot of events. So we just talked about the ones we had in Abuja. Let's talk about the other big event that happened very recently. No, it's not too recent now. It's about I think that was in June, so it's 2 months already. And that's the Voiceover Conference, like the big Voiceover Conference.
It's
arguably,
Oh my God.
It's 2 months, right?
Dang.
Time really flies.
I didn't even talk.
Arguably, like the biggest.
The Voiceover Conference was a major part. Like, it's been a major highlight of the year. It's been like a major highlight because I got to interview Joan Baker. I'm still not over it.
Oh yeah,
I interviewed Joan Baker.
That is so cool.
And we connected so much. She's such a cool person, and we connected so much that even after we were done talking online during the conference, we still went to chat in the DMs to finish up our conversation. Yeah, that's how good it was.
Joan is such a
But then at some point I was just like, I'm just going to let you go so
soul.
that next time when I send you a DM, you're going to respond. But it was such great information, a great connection. It didn't even feel like I was interviewing someone. It just felt like we were having this really deep conversation. And she said something about how what really makes you stand out as a voiceover artist is not even just all the other external stuff, and which you should obviously get right, but it's the inner work, the deep work that you need to get done. The spiritual and emotional stuff that has to do with performing voiceover. What really makes your voice different? What makes what makes them, maybe there's a younger, more bubbly or seemingly bubbly voice, why they still come to you, it's the fact that you bring all your experiences and all your story, who you are, you bring your aura and everything, your energy into the voiceover, and that just makes it stand out. And that's how sometimes you say, I really like this voiceover, and you can't really put a finger on what you really like about it, as when you take aside the technical stuff and maybe like the vocal performance. There's just something about it that you just really like but can't put a finger on it. That's the inner work, and it was such an insightful conversation, not one I'm quick to forget. Those are some things that really stuck with me. Yeah,
that's beautiful. I look forward to seeing that interview on YouTube, because the Voiceover Workshop and Media is the organizer of this Voiceover Conference, which we had the 5th edition. They are generous enough to, first of all, they made it a free event, and then they're uploading, we are uploading, because I am part of the Voiceover Conference team. We've been having the recordings uploaded on YouTube gradually, so people can see everything. But it was a 2-day event, so the day 2 is entirely on YouTube, so you can check it out at the Voiceover Conference YouTube page. We're going to drop the link right in the show notes.
That would be
but
amazing.
It was an amazing event, even for me personally. Yeah, so shout out to you two for a great conversation with John. I had a great time as well. It was one of those very, very intense moment in 2024 for me, because I was working back to back with the team. I was manning the content side of things, and I had to work with King E. Shout out to King E, the founder of the Voiceover Conference and the Voiceover Workshop and Media. It was a very, very interesting experience for us. We would work day and night. We would come up with ideas and strategize even till the day of the event. I was in Lagos, and we had a lot of things to do. I can't talk about all of that right now because it's going to be another podcast episode entirely. But shout out to the team that pulled this off. We had never till that time had any voiceover event as glamorous, I dare say, as the Voiceover Conference 2024 in Nigeria. I don't know about the entire Africa, maybe, yeah. But that was like the biggest event we had pulled off as an industry in Nigeria. And it was beautiful to see people come together from different tribes or fields or, different parts of the industry and different locations as well. People traveled from different states. I know someone who traveled, I think the lady came all the way from Kenya. I need to remember, Kenya or Rwanda, I can't remember which of the countries. People traveled from Ondo State, from Abuja, from Port Harcourt, from Delta State. And this was just like within Nigeria, people traveled. It was just a great event. And we can't even talk about the online audience. Like, we had people watching from different countries of the world. Africa was really, really watching the Voiceover Conference and engaging with the Voiceover Conference. So it's something I'm forever proud of, that I was a part of the Voiceover Conference. And I also had to host a panel session at the Voiceover Conference. The panel session was about social media content creation and how it affects voiceover artists and how we can do it better. I had Voice of Steph on the session. Voice of God. I can't remember. I don't know exactly how his name is pronounced rather. But yeah, it was there. Voice of God is his nickname. David Attad, David Psalmist, who we talked about earlier. Shout out to David. He's getting married this week. I just thought to put out there. I had you're muted, Serah, by the way. So
let me do that again properly.
Eniola Keshimro. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Shout out to you, David. Eniola Keshimro. Yeah, she also was on the panel session.
My president.
And NK. Oh, NK? Yeah, she's the president of the Voiceover Academy Alumni Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to her. We should have NK on the podcast one of these days. I've been
Yeah, we
wanting to have
totally
her.
should. She has some really insightful thoughts that I think
Yeah.
would be great to share with the voiceover community.
Yeah, she's also very deep because I get to talk to her a couple of times too. I've had her on VO Fireside Chat. That's like an IG session that I used to run towards the end of the year. So shout out to you, NK. We had from Ibadan, the founder of Voiceover Bootcamp, Charles Alade, a great person, a great man. It was there as well. He's been on this podcast before. I think, was that all? Voice of Steph and myself? Yep. I hope I'm not missing anybody. But it was a great conversation. So I think we've done a lot of recap about the Voiceover Conference. People can go check it out. A great conference indeed. And speaking of conferences, we have another conference coming up real soon. That's the
Which one?
Africa Conference, and that the VO Africa Conference, organized by Emeka Onunkwo, who is the founder of Nigeria Voice Bank or Nigeria Voiceover Bank. That is happening on the 13th.
Yeah.
I used to struggle with that word.
13th.
13th.
Let me give you a tongue twister. 13.
Yeah.
13.
Oh yeah.
13th. I'm literally coming up with a tongue twister for you right now.
Oh my god.
13th, 30th. It's not coming. Oh, but I think you can say
On my
this.
30th
13th,
birthday.
30th. Yeah. 13th, 30th. Say 13th
Even you are starting to stutter. 13th, 13th.
Say it fast. Proof of concept.
13th. I can't believe I stumbled on that one. Oh my. All right, let's just say it the way it is, right? So on the 13th to 15th of September 2024, the Road Up. That's the theme of the of the VO Africa Conference this year. Themed the Road Up. It's going to be happening, and it's a virtual or an online conference. So I can't wait. I'm also going to be hosting another panel session that has Jamaldeen, King E, and Joy Ogbekene. I can't wait for that one.
Shout out to Jamaldeen. Hi, Jamaldeen.
Shout out to Jamaldeen. I can't wait for us to have Jamaldeen again. I've had him like twice on the podcast, and such a very great human being. Shout out to you.
Now I'm here.
Jamaldeen.
We get to have we get to have it again with him and me here.
Yep. So it's going to be a rich conversation. So we will be having the Voice of VO Africa Conference. That's in September. You can register for that. The show notes will be in the link to that will be in the show notes as well. It's a paid conference. Some of the greats in the voiceover industry globally will be there. And speaking of events as well, I know, Sarah, that you will be on a panel session in Lagos this month.
Yes.
So will you tell us about it?
It's the Lagos Comic Con.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm so excited about the Lagos Comic Con. I've always wanted to attend Comic Con, but I've like Comic Cons in general. They fascinate me. I've always wanted to attend one, but I don't know. I've just never actively pursued it. And yeah, I've been hearing about the Lagos Comic Con. I wanted to go for last year's, but I can't even. I think something related to work popped up, and I just couldn't go anymore. But then this year, not only will I be going, I'm going to be speaking about a character that I brought to life. So I'm super excited. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about Iyanu alongside the person who created the character and, some other, really brilliant minds behind creating the series and creating the character and other characters as well. Even the people who are involved in creating the comic book. There's a comic book, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
you
do.
should check
I
out
know.
Unique.
Shout out to
You should check
Dacross.
out Unique. Yeah.
Unique
So
Studios.
check
Yeah.
out Unique
Unique
Studios
actually.
if you want to, get access to. You just pay a subscription, and you can get access to the Unique universe. They have really, really great stories. There's Malika. There's the Oloris. There's which
The
other one?
Oloris, yeah.
Yeah. There's I can't remember. It's an acronym. See, I can't even remember the
yeah,
names
that's
right
like
now.
X
But
in
there
it,
are
right?
really, really great
Can't
stories.
remember right now too.
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. I can't
Fox
remember
or
the
Force
names
or
too.
something,
It's
I can't
literally at the tip of my tongue, right there, but I can't remember. But yeah, there are some really,
Yeah.
really great stories there. So one of the things that really made Iyanu really exciting for me is the fact that 3 years to this, I've been following Unique Studios for a very long time. And I've just been really excited about the projects they put out. And I was subscribed to, I used to read the comic books, but I never read Iyanu. I don't know why. I don't know if it was out, as at the time I was, reading or anything.
I'm not sure.
And when the audition initially came in, because I wasn't reading Iyanu, I didn't know it was for Unique Studios. I didn't know it was for Iyanu. So so I just auditioned with an open mind. For me, in that moment, it was just about bringing this character to life. And the roles I'd even auditioned for were different from what I got, right? I auditioned for, I auditioned, and then when I was just about to submit the audition, I was like, let me try Iyanu. I like this character. She looks fun. Let me just give it a try. And I did. And next thing, I'm getting a mail from our awesome casting director, Paula, and she's like, "Oh, great! You've been chosen to play Iyanu." And I'm like, "No, stop. Shut the front door." it was such an amazing surprise, That year was just back-to-back amazing stuff. That December, it just really felt like all the work I'd been putting in was starting to pay off. For the first time, I got to play I got to work with a Nigerian artist, Victoni, in a capacity I didn't even know I could work. It was voiceover
I've
related.
not heard that
And
gist though.
that was
Sarah,
the
you've
year I
not
got
gisted me
nominated.
about that.
I can't just you for now.
Don't worry.
We'll talk
Don't
about
worry.
that
When I
behind
can, we
or
shall
in
gist
cameras,
about
or
it.
how do you put it?
Yeah, when we turn off the
wahala.
cameras. So there's that. Then it was that
Exclusive.
same. It was that same December that I got nominated for my Sovas Award. It was also that same December that I
Shout out
got
to
my
you.
Iyanu. Yeah, that I got my Iyanu gig, and it's just been really, amazing. It's been such a great process. Yeah. So where did I start this story from? There's a point to the question you asked me. The Lagos Comic Con.
Oh.
Yes. I'm just talking about how, Akban Godwin and, some other really brilliant minds behind Iyanu, they're all going to be at the Comic Con, and I'm going to be talking about the challenges, from all our sides, from all our different parts of the work, the challenges we faced, and the whole process behind bringing Iyanu to life. So it's going to be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it.
That sounds super fun, Sarah. And you're joining the last 2-3 years.
And a
is
big shout out
nothing
to
short of
Lion Forge.
inspiring.
They're spoiling me on this trip.
Oh my. Lion Forge has been amazing. Like, they're so supportive. And it's even taking me back to the Voiceover Conference.
So supportive.
Yeah. How Lion Forge came on board as a sponsor.
Really, everybody
of the
on this
conference,
team.
like
I mean, a big shout out to Roy as well.
Roy Okukpe, a fabulous guy.
Yes, a big shout out
Roy,
to you,
Paula.
Roy.
So, we've been talking for the past a couple of minutes, and guys, welcome again to this. This is another version of our podcast. It has really morphed into this, and in case you are thinking you're not going to be hearing Sarah's voice on the next episode, nope, you're going to be hearing her voice in the next episode, and the one after that, and the one after that, because Sarah is officially the co-host on the Everything Voiceovers podcast, The African Perspective. Such an amazing personality, Sarah. So I look forward to the next episode. Oh my, we're gonna get
I mean, I do
there's just
appreciate
a
it.
lot of
I'm
things I'd like us to talk
excited
about.
be here.
Voice again. Oh my.
I can't help it. I love it so much.
Hey Sarah, sorry it happened
Hey,
again. My
network,
network.
Abi.
Um,
Oh, don't worry, why Nigeria? Don't worry.
yeah. Let's just. All right, guys. Sorry
And
about the
we need to
network
talk
issue,
about-
but we're back, and
You know,
yeah,
we
go
need
on.
to talk about, this part of, these things these services that do not allow freelancers in general, not even just voice actors that get to have virtual recordings, how it doesn't allow us to show up at our best, and then we now have to overcompensate by going
Yeah.
above and beyond to make sure that people see our value, because
Literally.
sometimes with basic amenities we're being let down. It's sad, really.
Yeah, it's a challenge,
But
and
I shall
I'm
stop-
so
I shall tap into
excited.
talent.
I'm happy. I hope soon I'm able to also afford to get Starlink. But really, it's something that's, and I am happy to have you on the podcast, because it's a blessing for me personally, because now I have someone to talk real issues with. It's not like I don't talk real issues with other guests, but not from a guest to host perspective, but a co-host perspective, where we're just gisting about these things. It doesn't have to be like very structured in a way that I'm throwing the questions and someone is answering. We're just conversing.
Yeah.
And that allows me to also share my own thoughts on many things that I would not be sharing normally if I were just hosting and having someone share their thoughts on stuff. So we will definitely be talking about these struggles. We have light issues, we have payment issues, and just so many things that and that's why we call this podcast
right
the
before we
African
even jumped on this
perspective.
episode,
Tell me about
right
it.
before we even jumped on this episode, I was struggling with getting my router up. Like, I bought I bought airtime. I got debited. I didn't get the airtime. Then I tried getting it again. For 40 minutes, I was going between my bank app and my my network app, and it was just really. It was really hectic. It was so crazy. Like, I just sat down, and then, there were other things that I was supposed to do with the internet, and then it was just such a letdown. I had disappointed one other person because of this same internet issue. Something was supposed to go up at a particular time, but it couldn't because network, and yeah.
That's
It can
torturous.
get very frustrating.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It is really, but anyway, we move, like we always say in Nigeria.
We move.
Shout out
and
to every
we
creative.
find a
Yeah.
way. Yeah. And then, I mean,
Shout out to every creative that is always
I'm
finding a
dragging
way,
this thing, but
but there seems to be no way.
I think, the fact that we always move is one of the reasons why we still have certain problems. We adapt too quickly to things that it doesn't allow us to scream out in protest and say, now, this is where it ends, okay? Stop. We can't take this anymore, and yeah, I mean, that's plus a bunch of other issues, like the fact that a lot of times, even when we say enough is enough, we do not unite as one voice, or we do not have an agenda, Yeah, I'm going to leave that there, because if we go into this rabbit hole, I have a lot to say.
Yeah. And well, that's on a very big national perspective.
Level.
And if we zero down into the voiceover industry in Nigeria, in Africa, I'm one thing I'm glad about is that I'm glad for the fact that the consciousness of the need for us to come together is beginning to populate the industry, and people are now getting more receptive. Those of us that are in the industry, in the industry, we know how it has been in a couple of years, but in the last 2 years, 3 years, we've been seeing that coming together, and we're seeing the positive outcome, right, in our events, in our collaborations and stuff. So I am quite optimistic for what the future holds. Nothing is perfect, really. There's still the gray areas and the dark sides of everything, every industry. But I am optimistic that it's going to get better, right? So yeah, we've had a great time talking on this episode together, Serah, and yeah, I look forward to more episodes. But just before we go, right?
Okay.
Shout out to Voice of Steph. She bagged an award.
Yes,
just
congratulations,
recently,
Steph.
and it was good to see. Congratulations, Steph. That was the Icon Awards. Dream It, Achieve It, and she grabbed the award for Voiceover Artist of the Year in Nigeria. She's been having, awards lately, from bagging the APVA Awards 3 years ago, Voiceover Artist of the Year in Africa, to this. I think this is the second time she's getting this award, or the third, I don't know. Shout out to Steph and to every voiceover artist putting in the work. The energy right now in the voiceover community in Nigeria is high, and I love it. I see people putting in more effort to, get better in their crafts, going for trainings, mentorship, programs, getting upgrades in their equipment, putting out content. I love the energy I've been seeing lately in the industry. So I want to say big shout out to you out there listening. And if you're still thinking about your career, how you can make it better, and maybe a couple of things are letting you down, imposter syndrome or whatever, I just want to encourage you, just act and keep listening to the podcast. You'll get inspired. Certainly, we will try as much as we can to make sure new episode drops every Friday in the morning, Fridays. So would love to have you listen every week. Yep. So Serah, I think that's it for this week's episode. Have anything you want to mention before we get
I'm so sad to go, but yay, we did it. And I'm so excited that we get to do this. I think, like I said at the beginning, I think it's going to be a fun ride, and we get to talk about a lot of things that won't just be entertaining but insightful. So make sure you always, find your way here so we can share our nuggets and entertain you as well. And keep grinding, keep doing your thing. And something someone told me, that I've also come to realize by myself, is that you're doing your work in silence and you think no one is seeing you, but I promise you, you're seen, right? We see you. You are seen, and it's going to come full circle when you least expect it. So start working now, so that your rewards will come for you. So keep at it and keep grinding.
Sure.
Grind and don't quit. All right. So over to you, T-Code.
That's a good way to end the podcast. Thank you for that word of, should I say, inspiration that you dropped. Yep. So I just want to say it again, as Serah said it, find your way to the podcast. And speaking of that, I think one last announcement I should let you all know is you can now send us emails. We really want to not just talk and gist, but we want to help provide solutions and answers to your voiceover problems or things that you're curious about. So we'd love that you write to us weekly. What are the questions that you have? Serah and I will try as much as we can to provide answers. If we don't know the answers, we'll do some research, or we'll bring someone on board that can tell us what's is the answer to your voiceover related stuff. So we would really love to get your emails. The email is everythingvoiceovers@gmail.com. everythingvoiceovers@gmail.com. We'll drop that also in the show notes so we can get your emails and get them read live on the podcast. All right. This is where we say bye-bye. Keep recording, keep working, and it's going to get better. I can't give any other motivation than what Serah has given. So I'm saying bye-bye. Cheers to you, Serah. We'll see you next week. You're muted, by the way. I see you're laughing, and talking about seeing, you can also catch the podcast on YouTube, so people can go watch it see Serah and I.
Why
She's
do
looking
I
beautiful.
keep doing that?
I'm looking good as well.
Yes, we'll see you next time on the next episode. We can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.